Hi everyone, it's Dr. E, and I'm here with your week 5 instructional video. So we should probably talk about the group work or the coalition work to begin with. So I appreciate everybody who provided feedback and insights about their experiences in the survey. That was really helpful. A lot of you were so positive and so kind and generous with your feedback. While some of you were kind, but also offering some input about the stress levels and overall what you were going through in your groups. And I appreciate it all. So what I've done in order to address some of those things is reshaped a little bit of the syllabus schedule so that we can, of course, all be successful, but hopefully be in a situation where we're not feeling that kind of stress level. This is not going to be a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. I mean, some of you enjoyed the roles, the responsibilities, the way that things were structured, but others were just kind of struggling with it because of maybe people who weren't participating or because I have not explained the instructions in a clear way. Whatever the case, it doesn't hurt to go back and be a bit flexible, and I'm the first person who will admit that because all I want out of this course is for you to be successful, so why not do things that will lead to that? So that's the first thing I want to address. The second thing is that sometimes it's helpful to just kind of take a step back and really make sure that we are keeping in mind our goals for the overall course, right? So of course it's to gain skills and knowledge about writing, to think about our own writing, to utilize research and follow MLA format, all of that good stuff. But I want you to think about these things as we move through the different weeks, especially because what we try to do is read something that's related to the act of writing or the things that we should keep in mind when we're writing in general. So things about identity or things about narrative or literacy. It's important to kind of think about those things and have those conversations as we work to grow our skills or refine the skills that we already have. But we're adding a layer to that in some weeks by looking at conversations, whether they are videos or podcasts or whatever the case may be. We want to focus on some sort of theme so that we can then apply those things that we're learning and thinking about in terms of writing. And so our overall theme is food, because food is something that, you know, we all have some sort of relationship with. So each week, we're going to try to kind of mesh those two, read or watch or do something related to the act of writing where we're really pushing ourselves to learn more, but also make some connections with the overall idea of food. So just a good thing to kind of hit the reset button in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. Y'all are doing such a great job. So this is not news to any of you. I'm sure how we're trying to work through all of this, but it bears repeating sometimes. I'm just going to go to our week 5 module so that we can address some of the things that are going on this week. The first is this announcement. It raises my blood pressure a little bit because there are these ongoing issues with D2L and submitting assignments, and though I can't apologize enough, I do appreciate those of you who are reaching out to me when you're experiencing this problem. Grimilda, who is our tech person at Lone Star College Online, has been frustrated by this just as much as we have in terms of trying to figure out and pinpoint what the issue is. But what she has said is that each time this has occurred, where you're not able to upload a document or submit a document in the assignments area, you can do one of two things. Either you can submit your work through the weekly content module. So week 5, as an example for this week, if you go to the week 5 module, there's an option that connects you directly to the assignments. But if that doesn't work and you're getting the error message, then the other way is to actually go straight to assignments, bypassing the module and everything. So I'll walk through that when we get there, but that announcement is just kind of reflecting that this is an ongoing issue that is even kind of flummoxing the people who work at D2L. So we'll see. We're just special. Our class is special. We're creating some special problems for them, right? But just be patient, and I appreciate your patience thus far. So if we go to the content area and go to week 5 and look at the module here, You have a chapter to read in your course text. It's titled Literacy Narrative, Building Bridges, Bridging Gaps. So a really interesting read this week. I just think the whole text that we're reading is really incredible in a lot of ways, and this chapter is no different. You're also going to watch a TED Talk by Ron Finley, which is titled A Guerrilla Gardener in South Central LA. Some of you may be familiar with this. If you're not, there is some adult language, but we're adults, right? But Finley does a really great job of kind of setting up his talk. And so I want you to think about that. How is he effectively communicating his ideas? What about the structure? What about the facts or the sources that he presents? The information that he's sharing with the audience to help inform them about the topic. Those are the same things we do when we're writing for college classes. We're just doing this in a more written fashion than, presenting in a TED Talk. So keep those things in mind. So this week it looks a little bit more sparse than usual, but it's because we're adding a new kind of assignment to our repertoire. So on Monday you have the instructional video and the written response assignment video, so make sure you're taking some time to watch those. There is a prompt posted for this new assignment that is the written response. And then there's that participation quiz, which you're probably used to by now. That's not going to be available until about 5 p.m. on Monday at the latest. I'm still working through some, as usual, D2L quirks, but that will be resolved on Monday. It will be. I'm going to will it to happen. So if you scroll down, there's that written response instructional video where I go over, there's a template, there's a handout, I show you an example. So absolutely it is worth the time to watch. To review, I have updated the syllabus schedule, and I would love for y'all to take some time to look at the schedule and let me know if you see anything that's off. I've looked at it for so long over the past couple of days, trying to kind of address things that we want to take care of in the coalitions, but you may see a due date that's a little off, or you may see something that just doesn't make sense. So please let me know. Be my peer reviewers. I would really appreciate that. There are also the guidelines here for the written response as well as the template. And in the to-do area, again, you have a link straight to the assignment and then a reminder about the quiz. The quiz will appear here at least on Monday, at the latest. But if you click and enter the assignment area this way, it takes you directly to, and I'm going to walk through this and then talk about the different ways to submit. So what we're going to do for this week's response is review Ron Finley's TED Talk, and I put a reminder here, use the template, indent paragraphs, etc. Definitely see the example that I shared in the video. So I put a little note here that each paragraph offered should be about 6 to 7 sentences, and this is because we're really starting to ensure that we're utilizing quotes to support our ideas, which is kind of the foundation of academic writing. We have this idea that we have awesome ideas, we are sharing those awesome ideas, but we have to support those ideas using research, right? So that's kind of our goal, at least for this assignment and in future writing, is finding that support that usefully kind of helps explain our ideas. And so you'll have 6 to 7 sentences, and that's because you will be including a quote and explanation of the quote, right? So one of my pet peeves, why not share my pet peeves, right? It's only fair that you know these beforehand. One of my pet peeves is when quotes are just dropped into paragraphs, whether that is dropped at the very beginning of a paragraph, like the first sentence, whether it is in the middle somewhere, or whether it is at the end. And this is because a quote that starts your paragraph, it's not always a useful topic sentence. Your topic sentence, that first sentence in your paragraph, should really set up what you're sharing in the next several sentences. So I always like to refer to a topic sentence as kind of a mini thesis. For an overall research paper, you'll have a thesis that is kind of helping direct your audience. What are you arguing? What are those things? You're setting up your audience. The same is true for a paragraph. That first sentence should tell your audience what that paragraph is about. Quotes don't necessarily do that. This is a way we may have been taught to write in the past, but for academic writing, we need to move a little bit beyond it. Dropping a quote in the middle of a paragraph without any explanation is the worst, because you're kind of, as an audience member, reading this going, what is this? what does this quote have to do with anything? Who said this and when did they say it? Where? You have to provide some context, right? And you can't do that if you're just dropping a quote in. And don't use quotes that are several sentences long. Just pull out those most important phrases, okay? And you don't want to end a paragraph with a quote just because you have no room to explain it if it's at the very end, right? And often the end of a paragraph, you're trying to work on transitioning to the next paragraph. And this is not to say at all that you should never, ever, ever in your life start or end a paragraph with a quote. It just means that if you are going to do that, it has to be absolutely clear what you're doing with that quote, and it needs to fit at the beginning as a topic sentence or at the end as a kind of transitional sentence. Just things to think about. Sharing my pet peeves so you know in advance. Okay, so just make sure that you're offering the explanation. So in one paragraph, I want you to think about, why are Finley's ideas important overall? And I put here, use quotes from his transcript to support your ideas, and you can find that there is a transcript tab on the web page for his talk, and I'll show you that in just a second. I put here, be sure to properly and accurately quote his work. I've put the link here for the Purdue Online Writing Lab website where it has those examples of how to quote properly. And when we're talking about a video, we don't have a page number, right? So what we do is we actually cite the time that the person says those words. So let me pause real quick and I'll pull up Finley's video. All right, so this is Finley's video. You can click play here, but for the transcript, you just go right down here. And this is so that you can get the exact words, right? If you're copying and pasting, make sure you're changing the font to match the font of the rest, right? Make sure you're giving Finley credit for these words. And you'll notice there are timestamps for them. So you can click on it and it'll take you to where he says that. And you can see, okay, he says that at second 48. So 00:48 means 48 seconds. The first number is going to be minutes. So you actually want to share the time he says something like this, okay? So something to keep in mind when we're talking about quoting a video. In another paragraph, I want you to identify one key point that Finley makes that you find interesting. So this is bringing you into the conversation versus just what are the main ideas. Explain his point, giving him credit by quoting his ideas, and then finally in one paragraph or two, those of you who can't just contain it in one, that's okay, examine your own connections to Finley's discussion. So did your family grow their own food in your area? Is there access to fresh produce? It is affordable. These questions are going to make sense when you take some time to watch his video, it's a great video. I love his video. So it's entertaining and insightful, and he has a delivery style that is just very approachable, and he's funny. It's just good, okay? There are the guidelines to review here, as well as the template. Please use the template, please. Okay, so that's if you click on the assignment directly from the weekly module. If it gives you trouble and it doesn't let you upload your document because you are uploading a document, then just go straight to the assignments area. And you do that by going to course activities, clicking on assignments, and then you find that assignment that we need. So I'm sorry this is a little muddled because of all the group information. You won't see all of this. You'll see the week 5 written response, okay? I want you to note that anytime we upload documents in D2L for assignments such as these, it's automatically going to run through turnitin.com that recognizes any plagiarism. So make sure you are giving credit when you're quoting. Plagiarism comes into play if you're not giving credit, not using quotation marks. So just keep that on your radar when it comes to submitting that research-supported work. All right, I have a list here of things that I want to make sure I'm addressing. So the calendar widget. Some of you have talked about the calendar widget and how frustrating it is, and I know. Let me pause one sec. So the calendar widget is just so imperfect in D2L. It's right here on the right-hand side, and it can be overwhelming because we have some overlapping kind of assignment times. So to make it less visible, just click on this to collapse so you don't have to look at that all the time. Again, I know it's imperfect, but it's what we have. And I wanted to offer an idea for an extra credit point. So I will explain that in an announcement coming up. So just keep an eye out for that. But y'all have a great week. I know that you can do it all.